So, if you or me ever want to become successful or want to better our lives in any kind of way, whether it's in our health, our wealth, or even in our relationships, in order to get things that most people don't have, we're going to have to do things that most people don't do. And that's the only way that we'll actually ever get there. And to put that really simply, it's just pretty much you'll never get to the success that you want unless you do hard things, the hard things that are necessary to actually get to those places. Because, like I said before, if you don't do different things than what you're doing right now, then you'll never get to a different place. Because if you're doing similar things to what most average people tend to do, your life will then become average because average activities result in average results at the end of the day. And kind of just breaking this down, something that I've definitely learned, especially in this past year and even well beyond that too, is that understanding which decisions kind of output which decisions output a greater result. And there's always some factors in every decision, and here's two of them actually. Like every decision is either, it either gives you instant gratification or either gives you delayed gratification. And something that I found honestly with the decisions I've been making and being intentional with the things I know I need to do is that depending on which one that you choose and what those activities actually look like, it will actually determine what your life will look like, let's say a few months ahead. You'll become, if you consistently choose instant gratification activities, which could be like basically activities that give you that instant dopamine hit. Like, for instance, you watch a YouTube video, you're instantly happy because you're distracted by a YouTube video. Then once it stops, that joy or feeling of happiness kind of fades. Drugs, alcohol, all that jazz, making you need to continually go back into it as well. And it gives you that quick dopamine hit, but the same thing is like the same speed that it comes to you, that dopamine hit is the same speed that it leaves once it's done. And I've noticed within my own life, if I continue doing instant gratification activities close to every single day, and that's primarily the primary of activities that I do, then I will be a person who is more drawn to instant gratification, where my attention span is very much lowered, where I have a really hard time actually focusing on things, doing the things that I know I need to want to, or actually sticking with the things I know I said I wanted to do that aren't exactly the easiest because you're so focused on the easy decisions rather than just making the necessary hard ones. And this brings me to the next thing, which is delayed gratification. And those are activities that basically, let's say you start doing them and the gratification or the satisfaction that you get from each of those activities isn't till much later. Like, for instance, going to the gym or making a YouTube video. Right now, I'm starting to make this YouTube video. Well, record it anyways. There's a lot to prep into this, like writing down the ideas that I want to talk about, kind of modifying those ideas, making sure that I actually can say it out loud, all that jazz. And going through that process, it's not very immediate. But for me, the satisfaction that I get from this, since I'm not going for views or anything like that, is really just being able to publish it and publish a thing that I'm actually proud of at the end of the day. And that's that satisfaction. And same thing with the gym. I've been around 5 years in the gym right now. I used to be a really, really skinny guy where you could see my bones kind of everywhere. And now I'm not like that anymore. 5 years into it. And I'm very proud with how my body looks like, and I'm very satisfied with it right now. And the thing is, it's something that I found interesting. Even studies have shown, like, when it comes to delayed gratifications, the longer that distance between the time you started and the time you get that satisfaction is, the greater that satisfaction will actually be. Like, for instance, let's say you're working on your relationship and it's been kind of rough, right? You start having these hard conversations, being really intentional, kind of like getting past the honeymoon phase and not really caring about it and just focusing on their looks or whatever the case is. But at that point, you're actually finding out who they truly are, right? And at that point, you're having all these hard conversations, having all these discussions that could make or break your relationship at the end of the day. And you're finding out new things about them. So, and it can either go one of two ways. You fall more in love with them or you realize they're not for you. And let's say it goes in that other direction where you start to fall more in love with them. You started that, let's say, maybe a year ago. But then a year later, you find out that you're in a much better place in that relationship and possibly even on the road to get married. That's a much higher satisfaction because it took so long to work at. Same thing with the gym. Because 6 months in the gym, you probably would see some progress. And yeah, that'd be a really great satisfaction. Or even with a YouTube video, if it takes 3 weeks to do and you're actually proud with it, you're going to be very, very satisfied with that rather than if you just, similar to what I'm doing, just recording, kind of editing a little bit and then posting it. But I get enough satisfaction from it at the end of the day. And what delayed gratifications pretty much do, it's similar things like this: making YouTube videos, going to the gym, eating healthy, all that jazz. And something that I found, at least in my own life, and I know with a lot of other people as well, when we start to commit to doing the things that have delayed gratification, those are necessary. Those are the hard decisions. It's hard to go to the gym 5 times a week. It's hard to force myself to sit down and record a video to probably no one who's really watching it, really. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times before, I used to do things for other people mostly. Like I do it for views, validation from other people. But right now, this these series of videos that I'm doing every single week, this is more of a commitment that I have with myself and have with my God, because this is just something that I know like I should commit to. Not looking for any external value, validation from it. It's just like, no, I want to commit to making a video every single week of the things that I've learned to cement them in my own mind, as well as add any value to anyone who may be watching, who may come across it. But anyways, that's just beside the point. And the reason why I bring this up is because, similar like I said in the beginning, the only way we will get to the success that we actually want to get to, which is the body that we want to have, the relationships we want to have, the family we want to have, the career we want to have, we need to make those hard decisions. And we need to understand the difference between what are some of the decisions we may be making right now and what are the things that we need to do. Because in all honesty, like a quote that really summarizes it all for me really is a quote by Les Brown. If you do what is easy, then your life will actually be hard. However, if you do what is hard, then your life will then become easier. And that is true beyond a shadow of a doubt from what I found. Because going to the gym, right? Before, I was taking the easy route, not really committing myself to go to the gym, doing anything like that, eating a little bit healthier, pushing my body to do better limits or whatever the case is. It was very easy. But at the same time, my life was kind of hard because my confidence was very, very low. I kind of had aches and pains because I used to work out before, but then I stopped for years and I felt weak. I wasn't able to lift things as competent as I was before. And I just kind of felt like I was a little less than I was at that point. And sure, life was easy at that point, but that doesn't make it satisfactory, really. And it was actually hard at the end of the day. And even later down the line, if I didn't do any of these changes, my life would still be hard. I'd still be probably weak. My health definitely wouldn't have been great, because even I have issues popping up now and I'm even doing better at that point. And but the thing is, like when you choose to do the hard things first, like let's say in your 20s, because I'm in my 20s, that sets up your life for a much easier life. When it comes to work, you're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort, you're putting in all the time to prepare yourself, to invest in yourself, into new skills that you can better equip, not maybe your own business, maybe the business that you work for, making sure that you are actually capable of so many things. At that point, later on, you don't have to continue investing in these different skills and learning all these different things. You just do the things that you are actually good at, and people will see that as valuable, and that will boost your career to another level. And the same thing with health. If you take care of it now, if you do the hard things now, later on, you'll be so benefited from it. Interesting story. My dad, whenever he got married to my mom, he actually never went to the gym until like a year ago, because I convinced him to work out with me. But the funny thing is, when he was young, he was almost nearly a pro baseball player, like back in Puerto Rico. And he worked out so much. Jacked dude, really. And practicing every single week, doing all the things, bro. Like he was one of those popular kids and going to go to college and everything like that. Then he got married to my mom, and that kind of just sidetracked everything at that point. And here's the thing. He got so built and so healthy at the end of the day. Like for years, this is about ever since he married my mom, so about 34 years at this point. He was relatively healthy. Like relatively healthy. Like his body looked great. People always asked him like what his age was, and they thought it was like lesser than what it is now because he's like in his 50s now. People asked if he's in his 40s. He looks, apparently a lot of people thinks he looks like a military guy, which I kind of find hilarious. But it's just crazy because he put that all of that work into his 20s, and it actually showed off for the next 30 years. And then now he's picking it back up because obviously if you don't do anything for a while, starting to get a dad gut, he's working on that and actually getting his health a lot better now too. And nothing's perfect, but let's say if he wasn't doing any of that, he'd probably be in a much worse situation than he is right now when it comes to like his health and everything like that. And right now he's doing very, very good. And there was like some minor hiccups, but other than that, doing amazing. And that's just a testament to it. If you start living your life and doing hard things, that doesn't mean you make your life hard on purpose. Like you just make your life miserable. That's not the thing. It's just more doing the things that stretch you, the things that are uncomfortable to you. A lot of times it's uncomfortable for me to actually put my face on this video, right? A lot of times it's uncomfortable for me to go to the gym. It's comfortable for me to sit down and increase my skills and actually take time to learn sales, marketing, appointment setting, whatever the case is for me. And it's uncomfortable. But the thing is, it does pay off. And I know for a lot of people in my own generation, there's starting to be a little bit of turnaround, but from what I've seen for the past couple of years, it's just that doing uncomfortable things is obviously unpopular and also kind of shunned upon. Meaning, whenever someone's doing something uncomfortable intentionally, like let's say getting up at 5 in the morning, for me, that's what I do. People look at me like I'm a psychopath. Like, why the frick would you do that if you can actually sleep in? Because I don't need to get up at 5 in the morning. I start work at 10 in the morning. And so I have 5 hours to myself. But that 5 hours allows me to actually work on myself much more. And people look at me like I'm crazy. And they're just like, whoa, I would never do that. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. And people love being comfortable. That's us as humans at the end of the day. But in order to actually get the life that we actually want to be or want to be at, the life that God wants us to be at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure, from a Christian perspective, all the decisions that we need to do in order to, let's say, surrender our lives to Christ and everything else like that to actually be in the place that He wants us to be, it's not comfortable. So why do we think we always need to do something that's comfortable? It's okay to have some instant gratification activities like throughout the week, but that shouldn't be the majority of our decisions. And that was my majority of decisions like 6 months ago. And I'm looking to change that. And it's worth it. And it's hard. And because here's the thing. Again, like in the beginning, if we want to go to the places that no one has ever gotten to in our families, in our communities, in places that maybe no one has ever drawn to, like, Mars or whatever the case is, right? We have to do things that people have never done in order to get to the places where people have never gone. And a lot of times, we just follow the status quo. We just follow what everyone else is doing. I know I've done it. And it sucks. Because I know like I was meant for more, but I was kind of like just dequalifying myself at that point. And it sucked. And in order to get better, we need to do harder things. And this is just to let you know. And also let me know as well that doesn't mean your whole entire life has to be hard, but just be intentional in some things that you can do differently. They're like, okay, this is going to stretch me, but I know it should be worth it. Whether it's something as simple as the gym, recording something simple as this, or something else that might be difficult for you at the end of the day. And at that point, that's where life starts changing and life starts compounding. These actions start compounding because I've been doing this for about 2 to 3 years now. And I'm in a much different place than when I began. much different place in maturity, much different place in my skills, much different place in how I actually talk to camera and everything else like that. And the only way I actually got here is if I actually did the hard things when no one was looking, when people were looking, kind of making fun of me. And it's just really being, I hate to overuse the word authentic, but it's being authentic to who God created you to be. If you are an ambitious person and you have dreams, and maybe God gave you dreams that are so big that you can't even imagine, or it's just like even hard to comprehend, then be okay with doing uncomfortable things. And honestly, we have to strive. We have to go for that. Go for those things because we know, hey, the person I know where I want to be is so much better than where I am right now. So I have to make sure that I do my best in my own effort to get there. And that's not saying that you are the one who does every single change in your life, but you do a majority. You do a good bit of it. Because Christian perspective, again, God tends to change the heart, right? In the way that we believe things, in the way that we can see things as well. But there's also responsibility on our part to actually put in the actions because God can do everything. But the thing is, we still have a choice. He's not the one kind of puppeteering all of us. He gave us a choice to choose him or choose or not. And that's up to us to do. And whether we want to glorify him with our bodies, whether we want to glorify him with our lifestyle, with our decisions and everything else like that, that's up to us. God's not going to do it for you. And I went through this whole paradigm shift where I was just like, the only way I'll get there is because of God. That's really yes. But also that the only way I'll get to that physical place is because of God. But the only way that I'll actually become that kind of person he wants me to be is not only because of God, but it's because of me too. Because he can give me every opportunity to become that new person that he wants me to be. But the thing is, if I don't choose that in my own lifestyle, then I won't actually get there. And that's the main thing. And so this is just a reminder for you and for me. Let's continue doing the hard things this year. And let's not grow weary in it. I know it's tough. It's been tough for me, especially this week. But we got to keep going because no one's going to change our lives for us. And this is the one thing that we can take personal responsibility over. Because no job is going to take your career just because you can. Like, instead of just focusing on growing in your career, grow yourself because you are the person who's in that career. You're the person who's in this relationship. You're the person who's doing all these things. And if you grow, then guess what? The things that you do will get better because that's the central thing that they're all connected to. Not just, I'm growing in my career. Your career is this way, but your mental, your physical and emotional maturity is like that of a third grader. No. Like the career will make you grow a little bit, but the thing is if you don't grow specifically with everything that you know that you need to change, then it'll stunt the career growth. It'll stunt the growth in those relationships. It'll stunt the growth in the relationship with you and God. And if we don't grow, if we don't make the conscious effort to do hard things that make us stretch ourselves, find out new things about ourselves, then nothing will. Anyways, that's all. I yambled a lot. Peace.